Hi everyone, this is Pip here from the JFK Living team. Hope you're enjoying this sunny afternoon. It was rainy this morning, but we've got some beautiful sunshine coming in. So we are here today. We've got a very special guest. We're going to be joined by Tiffanie Radomicki from Keller Williams, and we're going to be talking about some of the challenges that the Black community face in real estate. We're going to be talking about some of the common misconceptions with regards to home purchases and down payments. And then we're also going to talk about what the future of fair housing looks like. And we're going to offer some hope for those people out there that need it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Tiffanie into the conversation. Tiffanie, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm just peachy. Just, it's a Thursday. Coming out of quarantine, kind of. But
right.
It's like I got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's what it's like. Yes.
It's been a crazy old time that we're living in with, things are starting to open up again, and people are, some people are like, yeah, let's go. And then other people are like, no, hang on. I'm still very careful about it. And of course, with regards to us showing homes, we're still having to be really careful and make sure we wear our masks and our gloves and things like that, and be very respectful of the homeowners and things like that. So, yeah, it's a funny old time that we're in at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and to the point of the showings, you don't realize how many things as an agent you put your hands on.
Right.
The lockbox, the doors, you're going in and you're normally turning on all the lights. So you're touching all the light switches. Yeah. So you have to really be mindful during these times, these new times that we're in, that you have on gloves. And if you don't have on gloves, that you're definitely sanitizing each and every time you either come into contact with something or someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like hand sanitizer is like, there's so much of it in my car. Slowly evaporating in the heat.
Yes. So it's funny you should say that, because I have hand sanitizer in my car too. And the other day I came out and I must have left it in there for a couple of days. So I jump in my car, I pop it open, and it squirts out, and it's hot.
Right.
Like really hot. I'm like, oh, I can't do that again.
So myself with alcohol, right?
Right. So I'm wondering if you leave it in your car, does it affect the potency of the hand sanitizer?
That's a good question. If there's anyone out there listening to us right now who knows the answer, please let us know. Write in the comments.
Yes.
Okay. So you are the treasurer for the South Jersey chapter for NAREB, which is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And Tammi, who was also meant to be joining us today, but unfortunately couldn't, she's the VP. And you're also the Social Equality Task Force member for KW as well, which I think is awesome.
Yes.
Anyway, tell us, what's your primary focus with the organization, the NAREB organization?
So NAREB was born out of necessity. We are a minority-owned organization, and we were created in a time when Black people weren't allowed to join the National Association of Realtors.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't know there was a time where, if you were Black, you couldn't join certain associations. And
just how long? Just for reference, how long ago was that?
This is probably around the time of the civil rights movement. So not that long ago. Right. So we're talking somewhere around the 65-year mark.
Okay.
So yeah, it's strange.
Quite some time now.
I'm sorry?
The organization's been around since the 60s.
Yes. So the great thing about the organization is we had a very heavy hand in getting FHA to 3.5% program down, because everybody doesn't have 20% or 10% or 5%. And we needed something to give us a little bit of an advantage to be able to boost our home ownership numbers. So going back to what NAREB is, so I am the treasurer for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, but the South Jersey chapter.
Right. Okay.
So our focus is really just being a community resource, making sure that we're getting educated on different down payments, down payment programs, making sure that fair housing laws are being followed,
Mhm.
just really educating ourselves and making sure that we have the knowledge that we can help our customers in the community. We want people to come to us when they have questions about foreclosure or down payment assistance or different types of loan programs, title issues, home alarm. If it has something to do with real estate, we want to be that resource to point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So,
And these are
yeah.
very common questions that come up time and time again when people are looking to purchase, particularly those first-time home buyers. They've been in a situation where they're renting, and they're going into this going, I have no idea how to purchase a home. And you talk about these common misconceptions that people need 20% down, and it's not the case. There are some really great programs out there, like the FHA program, that really do help people get into home ownership. And of course, June being home ownership month as well, it's a great time to talk about it.
Yes. And we've been giving out homework for this home ownership month. There's a movie out there called The Banker that we've been pushing,
Okay.
telling people it's a great movie to watch because those conditions really still exist. They may not be out in the open, out front, like you so blatant racism,
Mhm.
but the problem still exists. Like we're still fighting for equality and fair housing. A lot of times it's a situation of education, not knowing. There's been times where I've had Section 8 clients and reached out to the co-oping agent and say, hey, I have a client who has a Section 8 voucher. We would like to see such and such property on this day. And the agent just comes out and says, well, we don't accept FHA vouchers. And I'm like, are you sure you want to say that?
Right.
You might want to take your fair housing class over because you can't deny them because of their form of payment. You can't deny them for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So NAREB kind of gets that information out there to the masses. So you don't have to be an agent. You don't have to be in a real estate business, but you want to keep track of what's going on, different laws that are changing, any legislation that's going on in a particular area. We have different people on in our organization that go down to like these town hall meetings so we can keep abreast of what they're trying to do, the changes that they're trying to make. So that's pretty much what NAREB is. We are a minority owned organization that was created out of necessity because, like I said, Black people weren't allowed to join the National Association of Realtors. So
That's crazy. That's
it
absolutely
is.
crazy. Now you can obviously shoot
Yes.
more posts as well. Good, but it's good to see that this organization still exists as well, because this is the fine line, isn't it? Where and I think now where people are really starting to speak out when is being quiet enough, because there's still things that go on that are maybe not spoken about, and this is why we're trying to bring it into the light finally and see if we can start affecting some real change out there.
Yes.
What kind of struggles is the Black community still facing in terms of housing? And I know your organization offers some support, but is there any other support out there that can help them in terms of home ownership?
So that's a great question. So again, we are a resource. So always, reach out to your local chapter for information. And yes, discrimination still exists in the housing world. Whether it's familial status, whether it's sexual orientation, whether it's children, age, race. You name it, it still exists. You'll have people that say, well, I don't want to rent my house to X person. And you're just like, really? Like, are you sure?
Yeah, and that's whether it's renting or selling, and that's one of those things that you have to set the lines from as an agent. You have to be like, you can't do that from the get-go, and if that's your feeling and that's how you really feel, like, I can't represent you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things that I feel like is great with Keller Williams is that's a conversation that we have with new agents immediately. We don't discriminate here. We don't work with discriminatory practices. We don't do that. So if you have somebody, you are doing a listing appointment and they're saying, well, I don't want to sell my house to whatever protected class or whatever group, and they say that, immediately Keller Williams tells you, yeah, that's not a listing that you want to take. Definitely not, because we're not going to discriminate in marketing their property.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Well, I
So
see, someone's just joined us. I can see Tammi has just joined us here. So I'm going to actually add Tammi into the stream.
Okay.
Hey, Tammi.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you? Hang on, you can't quite see my, oh, hang on. Now I'm too big. I'll just get back like that. That's fine. How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Tam.
I can hear Tiffany, but I can't hear Pip. I can't hear you. Oh, I think I can hear you now.
You can hear me? All right. You can see me.
Good, because you were behind the sign.
I can maybe just get rid of that and actually, hang on 1 second.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
So Tammi, thank you very much for joining us. Tammi, for those who don't know, she is the VP for the NAREB organization that we were just talking about with Tiffanie. Just continuing on with the conversation, I'm actually going to ask Tammi a question now. Tammi, what do you think discriminations you feel are still prevalent within the real estate industry, and both from the perspective of the real estate agent and from the client perspective, in terms of race and in terms of gender? Can she hear me?
Tam, can you hear us?
I can't hear you. I can hear you, Tiffany, but I can't hear Pip at all.
Pip, she can't. Okay. So,
not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. So Pip is asking you, from your perspective, whether it's agent to agent, client to agent, or vice versa, what current forms of discrimination are still out there in regards to housing?
I mean, you named all the categories. I mean, you have it from agent to client, or agent to agent. When you think about it, we're in the state of where we are today. And for myself, I look at how we see with our eyes. That's the first thing we, as people, come in contact with each other. And I was having a conversation with my daughter today, and we were looking at videos, as our youngsters do, and so many of us do. And on first glance of a man that she was showing me a picture of, you would not think he was advocating for what he was advocating for, or he would be. So that's the first thing you end up doing. You put a prejudgment on somebody, and sometimes you have to choke on your words or your thoughts of what the way you may place a person in a box. So I've come to learn in my short time on this earth, because y'all know I am 21, that when it comes down to it, you have to be able to listen to people, give them a chance, because we don't realize what kind of background all of it. We have so many different diversified backgrounds, and until you can, and you don't, it's hard to, you shouldn't judge a person. I look at the fact you shouldn't judge a person. You have to know the character of a person that you want within your space, because I'm a person about the energy of a person. You don't want that energy to take over you. And I've dealt with a lot of people that have not been the most pleasant, but I know in my character, the way I do things, I hope that in what I'm giving them, if it's in service or just as a general interaction, that they will see, wait a minute, she wasn't as what I thought either. Because sometimes people look at me and expect a certain thing and don't realize they getting this Texas girl in a Jersey world type of person. I'm a Southern belle at heart. So, hey.
Well, listen, I get that as well, because I'm from the UK, and as soon as my mouth opens, then all of a sudden people realize, it's different.
You're going to have to translate for me, Tiff, because I can't hear Pip at all.
The wonders of live, right?
The wonders of live. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. So Pip is saying that, you know, he has a British accent, and a lot of times people will see him, and then as soon as he opens his mouth, it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's, you know, we do a lot of times look at somebody and automatically assign them to a box, and clearly it's an imaginary box, but we normally look at somebody and say, poor, rich,
Right.
middle class, black, white, different religious groups, you know, and it's unfair, and we need to stop judging books by their cover, in other words. So going back to your original question, so people are, for clients, I've seen clients be discriminated upon based on sexual orientation, where we went to see a property, the property was a great fit, and fortunately, or unfortunately in this situation, the seller was there when we were at the property, and the agent says, I don't want to work with this person, and I don't want to sell my house to a gay couple. And I'm just like,
wow. Yeah. People say it's not out there, but it is.
Yeah, and it's just like, you need to have a conversation, because at that point, you're shocked, you're hurt, and you're angry, and that all those emotions are intertwined at that moment when that agent says that to you. And the first thing I said was, you need to have a conversation with your client about discrimination, because this situation can go a different way. Now, my client wind up buying a house after they had the conversation, so it all worked itself out. But I think people think, well, if it's my property and I'm selling it, I can do whatever I want with it, and I can determine who I can sell it to. But they don't realize that when you're using an agent, we take ethics, and we do not discriminate, and we will not further those practices. I've also went to certain neighborhoods, and PA, there's a particular neighborhood I had a client that was interested in, and I wasn't familiar with that particular area. And once we went there was a note left out on my car while we were inside viewing a home. And it had the N word, go home. We don't sell to your type. Yeah. So, you know, these are things. And when I say like recent, I don't mean like when I first got my license. No. I mean like within the last year.
Right.
Yes.
So these things still exist, and it's heartbreaking, because at the end of the day, the type of people Tammi and I are, it goes beyond color. It goes beyond protective class. We just want to be the resources. So NAREB happens to be a great organization, because not only do we pick up the fight for the African American community, we pick up and fight with who we need to fight with. So let's just say it's a Latino or immigration issue, we will pick up the ball and we will fight with them. If it's LGBT, I always get these letters because there's so many of them, but LGBTQ. Yes. So if it's their fight, we pick up the ball and we fight with you. So now the spotlight is on us, on the Black and the brown people. So we are hoping that all those people that will pick up the ball and fight with,
right,
they'll now pick up the ball and fight our fight with us, because it's about us as human beings.
Absolutely. And I do think, you know, something that I'm quite proud of as a member of the gay community is that we do like to pick up the mantle and, you know, help other minority groups as well, because we, you know, whilst I cannot begin to, you know, put myself in your shoes in terms of race, I'm still from a minority class and I've been discriminated against, so I know what it feels from that standpoint. And, you know, we're all in this together. We're all good people ultimately, and we just want the best thing for our clients. We just want to get them into a home, and that's the ultimate goal here. A seller wants to sell a house, a buyer wants to buy a house. We want the transaction, you know, and that's it. That's all we're trying to do here. It's not rocket science, or it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be.
So let's briefly talk on FHA again. So a lot of people think you went down. FHA. Tell us a bit about that. Maybe you could come close to Tammi as well, so she can join the conversation. And
Okay.
talk about what other programs are out there for people as well as FHA.
Okay. So, Tim, can you hear us?
No, what did you? No, I could hear you, but I still can't hear Pip at all.
Okay. So, we're talking about FHA and what other programs are out there to help to assist first-time home buyers get into properties. You want to take that?
Where when it comes to FHA not being the only one of the things Fannie Mae has, their 3% conventional. So you have the Home Ready and your Dream Maker. I know a couple aspects that come with that. Of course, everything goes back to your credit score, but of course you have those two programs that Chase, and I know Chase Bank works along with Freddie Mac with the Homemaker and the Home Possible. There are now down payment assistance programs that are out there. Now, this program is not just for first-time home buyers, but it's also for those that are moving into a second home. So it's called the Shenoa Fund. That's CHENOA Fund FUND.org. And the Shenoa Fund is the money is available, and it can be up to 3.5% of the purchase price of the property. And depending on the direction and the type of funds that you need, it's not income based.
Right.
And so so that's one of the funds that is available, or grant programs that is available. Of course, with every grant programs, there's some pros and cons. So we always like to let people know what the pros and cons are with it. One of the I guess you call it a con, but pro with the Shenoa Fund is you have to be current on your loan for 36 months with no late payments, meaning anything after 31 days, then the cycle starts back over. So once you're current for basically 3 years, the 36 months, then that amount that you borrowed that silent second goes away. It goes away. So then you're working with, of course, the state $10,000 grant. There's also, I know Bank of America has a $7,500 first-time home buyer grant that's available. There's also a fund that I found out the other day that's for veterans that they can use either with their VA or with the conventional, or with FHA, which is the PEN, is the PEN. I just went blank. But it is a matching program for veterans to be able to. So you can be active, you can be retired, you can be in the Coast Guard, and so anything that's military connected, you're able to utilize that and match their fund. They match your funds. There's also, I'm trying to think, Tiff, I can't think right now of the other one. I know the the Federal Home Loan Bank also has money available. Now there's a limited amount of lenders that are able to utilize it. I know for South Jersey, you have South Jersey Credit Union. I believe Investors Banks is one of the lenders that's on there, and also First Colonial Bank. Now that money is $14,500 that is available for down payment assistance as well. Now, but with that caveat, there's 4 I say releases of the money. So what happened last year when this money came available, a lot of people in North Jersey or New York got a lot of those funds. So they had their first release of the money June 1st. And then they're going to have another release July 3rd, another one in August, and another one in September. And when that money's gone, it's gone to next year. But that's $14,500. Now, with that program, one of the things I have to tell people is, just like they used to do, you have to get in line for it. You have to basically either have a house already ready. So if you want to pursue that money with a lender that's on that list, you would have to have your package together already. So you would already have to have an executed and signed sales agreement, along with whatever the normal package items that your lender would take in. But that signed sales agreement is the most important part of that package for that particular down payment assistance program. I'm scanning my brain as I'm on the road thinking about all of this, but of those are the 4 per se that are out there that only thing I can think of right now off the top of my head. So money is available. Right. Something else came to me today about a down payment assistance program, but I have not vetted it to be able to really talk about it, to know if it's something that's valid for people to be able to move forward on.
Right. Well, that's great. There's already, and these are things that I've never heard of as well. So, you're bringing to the forefront these grants or loans, additional loans that people can go through. So I think the first port of call is for people to, if they're watching this video, and hopefully they are, to reach out to Tammi or Tiffanie to get more information about those programs and how they can factor in with the purchase of the home. So I think that's great. Tiffanie, you also run a podcast, Tiffs with the Crew. Can you tell us a bit about that, what you talk about on it?
So we talk about a little bit of everything. We had a really, really great conversation. Last night is when we recorded. I haven't completed the editing yet, so it hasn't been posted yet. But we had a really great conversation about self-esteem and confidence, and how I'll just tell you this: the takeaway for me in the conversation is kids are so cruel. Kids are just so cruel.
They say truthful. They're truthful.
I don't know about that, because some of the
things they're cutting.
They are. So one of the things that was common in the thread last night was, I remember being in school, or I remember being, whether it was elementary or high school, and I remember these kids said this to me. And now these people that are telling their stories, they're all adults now. So I said, it's amazing that something that a kid said to us when we were kids, we're still holding on to as adults. And we're still fighting with some of those things, those internal things. Wow. And just to let everybody know that was on the podcast, that they're beautiful and they're smart and they're creative and intelligent, and stop doubting yourself. And also put in some affirmations, because some people have some real struggles that they're going through. And I thought affirmations would help. So, sometimes we're talking about the current events of the, what's going on currently in our world. Sometimes we talk about a little bit more personal issues like self-esteem and self-confidence. The episode before this one, the last one that's currently posted right now, I thought was a wonderful conversation between myself and a white woman. And we were talking about our hopes and dreams for our children and how we grew up and how to start a difficult conversation. So we were able to show people that come from 2 different walks of life, different family styles, different racial makeup, we're really a lot the same. Right. We have a lot in common. So it was a great conversation. There was, there's difficult moments and difficult conversations, as you know, but we were respectful to each other. And we just pointed out our different points of view. So I thought that was a really great conversation. But who knows? Sometimes it's relationships. Sometimes it's friendships. Sometimes it's more than that. So, yeah, definitely tune in. It's
this is a kid's show.
It's not a kid's show. It's definitely not. No. You have to be 21 or older to. Right. Yeah, these are topics for adults. But yeah, definitely tune in. We're on wherever you get your podcast from. So iTunes, Google Play Store, Deezer, wherever you get your podcast from, just search for Tips with the Crew. And Tammi and I also do Sip and Tell on Saturdays. Wow. So it's a live interactive Facebook kind of show, I guess you could call it, where we talk about what we're currently sipping on. And then we also talk about what's new, whether it's Corona pass or fails, these skills that we have now learned that we have now that we're in this time of quarantine. And then we normally have a mortgage lender on too. Okay. So we talk about different products, and if something is new that came up, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about down payments. We'll talk about, knowing where you are. If, at some point that you want to buy a house, then you have to figure out where you are so you can take that journey. So knowing where you are credit wise, knowing where you are financially, so we can take the most appropriate steps. Wow. So yeah, definitely check that out.
All right, I will. So then, all right, I think we're just reaching the end of our time. So just to kind of wrap things up, let's say we live in an ideal world, or let's say we're striving towards an ideal world. What hope do you have for the future, and where would you like to see us get to in terms of everything, I guess, but housing, let's say? And Tiffany, if you can repeat that back to Tammi, if she still can't hear me.
Okay, so Tam, Pip would like to know, in an ideal world, what does that look like in terms of, housing and, perhaps discrimination and things of that nature?
In my opinion, I look at the fact that if we're able, it's so many people out there that have the ability to have what we call the quote American dream. Now, we know not everybody feels that home ownership is the American dream, because you now have some people that are now seasoned and they've been there, done that, and they're going to be renters for the rest. They don't want that baggage per se.
Right.
But my thing is, if we could get past any of the things that have caused people not to home, from redlining to
blockbusting,
little silly things that's on their credit, that common things to be able to take off,
right,
and be able to say, okay, you're paying $2,500 a month. Why in the world is this person doesn't have the ability, and your credit score is there? It's one thing to just not pay your bills, but it's one thing to have the ability and you just almost there, and it's either where you're trying to buy, and people don't understand insurance companies, and within real estate, redlining occurs, blockbusting occurs, no matter where we think we are now. So my thing is the ability for everybody to be able to have their own home, so they can, if their wealth of what they're going to get is in buying a $60,000 home or a $60 million home, but have pride in that of what they have, and have that ability to be able to do and live and be happy and have all kind of fun, whatever it is you like to have within your home, but it's yours. It is yours. So, and without discrimination, without limitations, like you say.
Absolutely. And
so I'll just jump in and say that I share that vision, but I take that a little bit further, that it's not just housing, that it's worldwide, that we get past this whole color thing, that this race is better than the other. We get past that. And that is far, far, far back in our rear view mirror. And we're looked at, each and every one of us is looked at as an individual. And we all have the same opportunities. Nothing is holding anyone back. We all have the same education or access to the same information. So we can start to create generational wealth. And then the other thing is just a better world where people just care about everybody. It's not just, we only care about the environment, or we only care about the animals. No, we care about each other first. So that's what an ideal world
where everyone just thinks about everything all the time, and considerate.
Yes,
considerate. That's the world that I want to be in.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Well, Tammi and Tiffanie, thank you very much for joining me today and having this discussion. We're looking forward to keeping the momentum going.
You're welcome.
If anybody is out there who's seen this, who wants more information on any questions about home ownership with the FHA program or any of those loans, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We'll be able to answer it. Although I'm going to have to contact Tiffanie and Tammi first to find out some of that.
You're welcome.
But thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you around at KW sometime.
Yes, I'm loving behind you. It's like very beautiful. It's drawing me in.
I'm for these later.
yes. I feel like I wish I could teleport right behind you right now.
Yeah, when you said sitting on Saturday, I was like, that's mine and Jeremiah's jam right there. We're down with that.
Yes. Well, we like to thank you. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to the Buy Sell Rent with TNT team. We are licensed Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey. And like I said, let us be your resource. We're not always going to be your agent, but if you have a question about something, don't just sit on it. Absolutely. Because that's not the way you learn.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you again. And yes, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It's brightening up a little bit. Go and enjoy, get a nice glass of wine, and we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.